So, would you like to order a drink while you wait for your date?
I'm not here on a date. I'm here alone.
Ooh, I am so sorry.
Oh, don't be. I don't mind the solitary life.
Of course you don't.
No, really.
Okay, well, I'm gonna let you ruminate about what drink best suits your lifestyle.
Well, actually, I'll have a, I guess I won't be having anything. Oh, hey, while I sit here dying of thirst, let me tell you about the Regal Mystery Movie that played on April 7th, 2025. And that movie was Drop. A widowed mother's first date in years takes a terrifying turn when she's bombarded with anonymous threatening messages on her phone. Surrounded by strangers who may also be the culprits, Violet and her date Henry try to solve the mystery. The clock is ticking for both romance and safety.
Rated PG-13.
Megan Fahy plays Violet, our single mom who's on a first date. She is a therapist who helps people deal with the trauma of abuse, even though she struggles to deal with her own. Megan does a great job of bringing her character to life. Violet feels like the most realistic person in the film, though there were moments where it felt like she was ripped out of a Hallmark movie. Brandon Sklenar plays Henry, a political photographer and Violet's date. Henry is a handsome, kind, and understanding man who accommodates Violet no matter how crazy things get. Unfortunately, Brandon is unable to bring any life into his character of Henry. Just about every line was flat and monotone, and the constant vocal fry was obnoxious. I was waiting for him to clear his throat the whole movie. Being handsome only gets you so far. The rest of the supporting cast mostly comprised of one-note side characters. They served their purposes well, they just weren't very memorable. Before the movie even started, Drop had issues, namely an over-revealing trailer. And this trend of showing all the major plot points in a trailer really needs to stop. Now, I have seen this trailer about 15 times before, which is probably 14 times more than the regular person. But the more that I watched it, the more I picked up on, including one shot that completely ruins all of the restaurant drama. Now, I'm not going to tell you what that is, because that would be rude, but it definitely prevented me from feeling most of the tension throughout the film, because I knew of one pivotal moment that was yet to come. As I mentioned, Drop is about Violet and Henry going on their first date after chatting online for months. Both are very nervous. They're dealing with a lot of mixed emotions. This is Violet's first date since her ex died, and Henry is distracted by his work at the mayor's office. Violet looks great in a sexy red velvet jumpsuit, and Henry is wearing a Banana Republic looking safari shirt that isn't buttoned very well, with a white tank top underneath. He looks like he just came from work, which he did, but he still looks underdressed for a first date and this fancy restaurant. There's a lot of cutesy banter as the date begins. It's all standard rom-com stuff. But once Violet starts receiving airdrops from a mysterious source, the date goes awry. These drops tell Violet that she needs to kill Henry in order to save her son and sister. Now, from the start, Violet shares these drops with Henry. They do some investigating to figure out who might be sending these drops. But as the drops become more demanding, Violet stops sharing that information with Henry. Now, I know that the sender told her not to tell Henry anything else, but Henry didn't really seem that interested anyway. Violet's behavior becomes more and more erratic as she deals with these drops, and Henry is just there. He tries to attribute her behavior to first date jitters and not the threatening drops that he's already seen. He even tries to leave the date, which is crazy because Violet is obviously in distress. Henry wasn't really a good character. He sucked the life out of every scene that he was in, which is a lot of scenes. And that's the big problem in Drop, that people don't seem to care. Granted, the bartender does show some concern for Violet, but that's it. A restaurant employee literally dies on the premises, but no police ever show. There's no investigation, the restaurant isn't closed, the ambulance just comes and carts them away. Maybe they have a really high turnover rate. While all this drama unfolds in the restaurant, we are treated to some really creative cinematography. First, the restaurant itself is visually striking. There's a long arched corridor that leads to the bar. The bathroom is a cool circular shape that allows the camera to zoom around it. And the lighting is pretty and sets the mood well. It's a place that I would love to dine at. Well, without all the murder. But there are some really killer shots. If you have seen the trailer, then you have seen a shot where Violet is centered and the background slowly fades out to black while she remains in a spotlight. I took this to represent her feeling of isolation as a result of her trauma. It effectively showed how she was lost in her thoughts, feeling all alone. I really liked it, but it happened quite a lot, at least 5 times. And that's a lot in an hour and 40-minute movie. But from a story standpoint, it's not too much, because Violet is an abuse survivor. This really shows how she hasn't fully moved on from that abuse. It's always there, though it does happen less as her connection with Henry grows. The film does a good job at balancing these creative shots with more standard ones. When our couple is at the table chatting, it's a regular back and forth shot. But when Violet gets up, the camera starts following all the action. It whirls all the way around as the tension grows. But once she gets back to the table, it's calm and routine. To me, this shows how Violet is trying to keep an unflustered demeanor when she's at the table with Henry. And when she's away from the table, her panic swirls and consumes her. But unfortunately, all these creative, meaningful shots can't help the film too much. The overall story is fairly interesting, and for the most part realistic. There was one thing that the message sender did that I couldn't justify realistically, and the film didn't even bother to explain it. The reveal of the sender and their identity was the most disappointing. This elaborate scheme was so unnecessary for the task at hand. A simple murder would have sufficed. Plus, some of the details of this scheme was shown in the trailer. Finally, there's quite a bit of comedy throughout Drop. You may not expect it. Most of it stems from Jen, Violet's sister, and Matt, the waiter, plus the awkward first date conversations, of course. Jen jokes about her sister's abstinence, while also providing some supportive advice. Matt, the waiter, was very over the top. From the moment he appeared on screen, he just felt off script. He might be a bit much for some people, but my audience was laughing. In the end, Drop had the potential to be a better film. Great visuals, good acting from Megan Fahy, and an interesting location really carried the film. The details that show how trauma manifests itself shows how much thought was put into the film. But it couldn't move forward with the flat acting from Brendan Sklenar as Henry and the weak plot reveal. And of course, the over-revealing trailer didn't help. Neither did me seeing it so much that I could scrutinize every frame. And that is why I'm giving the Regal Mystery Movie Drop the worst date ever score of 5 out of 10. Now, if you haven't seen the trailer as much as me, it could be a 6 out of 10. But either way, the movie just doesn't live up to its potential. So what did you think about the Regal Mystery Movie Drop? Slide into my comments and let me know down below. And remember that liking and subscribing are the perfect icebreakers. Now where is that waiter? Ah. Yeah, I'm ready. Seriously? Ooh. Hmm.